Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching and sharing my video about Chaim Walder yesterday. We not only created a massive Kiddush Hashem, but I got so many private messages from survivors of sexual abuse who told me that just watching that video helped make sure that they didn't fall into a dark hole of despair, and even though it triggered them, they feel like they have a voice and that they're being heard. So I want to say thank you so much to all of you for your warm messages, for everybody who felt like this is exactly what the community needed to hear and needed to say out loud very clearly. Of course, when you post an opinion of any kind, you have people who disagree with you, and I wanted to share with you a little bit of the disagreements that I had, private messages that people have sent me, and I decided to put it into three categories of confused people. There was one category of confused people who seemed very confused as to why I would even bother making this video. I'm not one of the victims of Chaim Walder, and I don't even live in Israel. I live in London, so what's it my business? They're like, why are you making a video about it? Just leave it alone. Just ignore it. It's none of your business. That was the first group of confused people. The second group of confused people were people who seemed to be very confused about halacha in general and told me that I'm even worse than Chaim Walder for speaking this Lashon Hara, that isn't even true, etc., etc. That was the second type of confused people. And the third type of confused people wanted to know how I knew it was really, really true, and have I seen photos, and have I seen videos, and have I listened to things, and how do I know it's true, and how can I even make a video when I'm not even sure it's true, etc., etc. This confusion is very indicative of how everybody feels in the world in general. That means even people who weren't feeling any of those things were still feeling confused. And I think it's very important to have clarity on this subject. So I wanted to share with you what my answers were to these confusions. For the first group of people who seem to be confused as to why I would bother making the video at all, since I am not a victim, I would like to say to them that there is a principle in Judaism called Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh B'Zeh. We are actually all responsible for one another. And even more than that, if we are told that if we see somebody being harmed and we don't stand up for them, it's like we ourselves harm them. So that means even though I live here and somebody lives there, we Jewish people are all connected intrinsically to one another. And it's very, very important that we all stand up for each other. And not only it's important, it's a mitzvah and we are responsible to do it. It's actually a responsibility that we all have to do. So there shouldn't be any confusion as to why I chose to stand up for the victims. This is actually everybody's responsibility to do, and I just gave the voice to everybody. The second group of confused people about the halachas of Lashon Hara, I just want you to know the actual halacha is not confusing at all. When somebody is out there intentionally harming other people, they have a din of a roideif. They are basically a murderer, and we are responsible. We are actually told that what we must do is we must eradicate the evil within us, and we must get rid of them. That means you might be confused about the halacha, but the halacha itself is not confusing on this topic, and you should definitely speak to your local Orthodox rabbi about this halacha so that you can clear up that confusion. The third confusion was based on how do I have proof? Where is my proof? Did I see pictures? Did I see videos? So there were 22 people that came forward and said, this happened to me. And there is a Dayan in Tzfat who listened to all their witness statements and then asked them a lot of questions and then clarified for it. And then he came out and said, I am satisfied that I listened to all the witnesses and what they're saying is true. Okay, so that means even though I haven't seen pictures or videos, and how do I know it's true? I know it's true because when it comes to matters like sexual abuse, the proof is the witnesses themselves that come forward and say, this is what happened to me, and they tell their story. That is the proof. And then when they sit before a Dayan and they say it, and he verifies it, that is all the proof I need. So I think that a lot of the negative private messages that I got comes from a lot of confusion. We live in an olam hafuch, an upside down world. Everybody seems very confused. And I think it's imperative that anybody who feels this confusion should really sit down with their spiritual mentor, their Rav, their Rebbitzin, whoever they go to with questions, and they should clear up the confusion, because for as long as there's confusion, for as long as there's no clarity, there's no one path, then we can't all get together and we can't lift our community. And we want to lift our community out of this dark hole, and we want to be very clear on what we believe in and what we're going to do about it and how we're going to help save people from people who are out to get them. And therefore together we can create a Jewish community from around the world that will look after one another and that will love one another and be there for each other.